Hey, what's going on? You know who it is. You know what it is. All right, you guys, peep game. I'm watching Michael Jordan, The Last Dance. Just watching it and critiquing it. I'll have my review of it later on. But I want to talk about this thing with Isiah Thomas where some of these Jordan fanatics just got irate. And some people said he disrespected Michael Jordan. Look, this is the reason why I don't do panels. I don't do no discussions, no debates talked about Michael Jordan, because at the end of the day, it's toxic. If you say anything objective or anything disputing some people's claims about Michael Jordan being the GOAT, it turns into a ugly disagreement. People try to insult you. They try to say you stupid and all that type of shit. Well, everything that I said about Michael Jordan was facts. Like I say, I know this basketball shit. But I stand by my statement where I say Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is the greatest basketball player ever. From high school to college to the NBA. He's the greatest basketball player I've ever seen in my life. You know, Michael Jordan, as far as him being the greatest, is very subjective, and it's you can make an argument that he isn't. What's happened now, I think what's going on now is a lot of people have stopped buying into this thing about they have to say Michael Jordan is the GOAT. Because at the end of the day, I never thought Michael Jordan was the greatest basketball player of all time. I just never did. I thought he was one of the best. But at the end of the day, just like everybody else, he had help winning his championship. The problem that I have with his fans, and particularly the ones in the media, is how irresponsible and they are with the nut hugging. Because like I said, if you listen to some of these media people, how they talk about Michael Jordan, you would think that Michael Jordan played all 5 positions and that he scored every last point. You know, I just think to a certain degree he gets too much damn credit, because he did have some help. But that's the problem. Every time you have a disagreement with a Michael Jordan fanatic, it turns toxic. It gets to the point to where his fans try to insult you. They try to say you don't know shit about basketball when you know plenty of shit about basketball. I know basketball. Just because I never played doesn't mean I don't know the game. And I've been watching and following basketball for fucking 40 years. So how the fuck I don't know anything about basketball? Just because I say that I don't think Michael Jordan is the greatest basketball player of all time, people have a right to disagree with that. And that's been the problem, where the media act like you have to anoint Michael Jordan as the greatest basketball player of all time. No, you do not. And I think what's going on now that they have all these different social media outlets, you have people voicing their opinion, and now some of these Michael Jordan fanatics or nut huggers are starting to get worried. Because as time goes by, it's going to be an argument. It's going to turn into, from what people consider fact, that Michael Jordan is the greatest basketball player of all time, is going to be opinion. Now that it's going from so-called fact to opinion, some of his fans can't grasp that, and they can't understand that, and now they're starting to like get upset, which they shouldn't. Just like some people believe Tom Brady is the greatest football player that ever played. Me, myself, I don't think so. To me, the greatest player that I ever seen play football, if you want to go position for position, to me, I still have Jerry Rice as the greatest football player ever. Not the greatest wide receiver. He is the greatest football player to me ever. And his numbers prove it. Now, he never technically won a league MVP, which he should have. But to me, I think Jerry Rice is the greatest football player that I ever seen position for position. Because as far as quarterbacks go, you can make an argument all day about Tom Brady, Joe Montana, John Elway, Dan Marino. I think if Dan Marino would have been able to get at least one Super Bowl, I think Dan Marino would be in that conversation about, the greatest quarterback that ever played. But due to the fact that Dan Marino just didn't win anything, that's gonna always hurt him. And John Elway was on his way to being in that conversation about what could have been, because like I said, if you want to go by numbers, just numbers alone, basically Drew Brees is the greatest quarterback that ever played. If you want to, he has a Super Bowl, but that's subjective once again. But let's talk about this Michael Jordan thing. Like I said before, people seem to jump down Isiah Thomas' throat when he said, hey, I don't think Michael Jordan is the greatest player of all time. I played with him, and then basically people got upset when they said that guys like LeBron James and Kevin Durant could survive playing in the 80s. Once again, that's subjective. That's debatable. I think LeBron James could have played in any era. I think Kevin Durant could have played in any. If Kevin Durant played in the 50s, Kevin Durant would have averaged 40 points a game. This is a dude that's 6 foot 10 and a half, 6'11", that moved like a damn two guard. Athletic as hell. Man can dunk without even trying. Man can shoot. You know what I'm saying? He was a hybrid. And that's going to be like I said, Portland not taking Kevin Durant #1 was the most asinine thing I ever seen done in the history of sports. I'll give you the Sam Bowie thing. That's, you know what I'm saying, that's disputable. Because at the end of the day, Portland didn't need a two guard. They didn't need a guard because they already had Clyde the Glide. So that's why people keep saying, oh, well, they should have drafted Jordan. Well, what position was he going to play? So, that's been something that people need to start telling the truth about. I got to be the first one to say, okay, let's just be honest. They really did need Sam Bowie. The Blazers didn't need Sam Bowie. Now, if they would have took Charles Barkley, that's a different story. Like I said, Michael Jordan wasn't even the best player in his draft. And like I said before, that's the problem. You can't have you can't have a slight disagreement, or you can't, have a difference of opinion when it comes to Michael Jordan, because his fans get irate. The same thing with LeBron James fans. They get irate. And it turns toxic to where you just be like, I don't even want to, and that's why I'm not doing no panels talking about Michael Jordan or LeBron. Just too toxic of a topic. Now, Isiah Thomas said, hey, I said what he said. Now, one would say, oh, that's because Isiah Thomas have a long history with Michael Jordan. Yeah, that could be true. But at the end of the day, that doesn't mean he's not telling the truth. I think Isiah Thomas really believes what he was saying. Now, we all know the history between Isiah Thomas and Michael Jordan. Just in case you don't, Michael Jordan and Isiah Thomas do not like each other. Matter of fact, they hate each other. And don't let anybody tell you any difference. Michael Jordan and Isiah Thomas can't stand each other for various things that happen on the basketball court, because Michael Jordan used to have a difficult time getting past the Detroit Pistons. The bad boy Detroit Pistons with Sally Lambeer, Isiah Thomas, Dumars, Rick Mahorn, all those, Dennis Rodman, all those cats. He struggled to get past them. And then when he finally did, But one thing about Isiah Thomas. Now, the Isiah Thomas fans will tell you this didn't happen, but I believe it did. Now, a lot of people believe, going back to the All-Star game, I forgot where the All-Star game was, where it happened at. But Isiah Thomas, a lot of people believe that Isiah Thomas organized a freeze out not to pass Michael Jordan the ball. Now, of course, Michael Jordan got some looks, but he didn't get a lot of looks. I forgot what his numbers was, but a lot of people said that, hey, Isiah Thomas said, hey, we're not going to pass Michael Jordan the ball. Because Michael Jordan came into Isiah Thomas' hometown and took over. But I don't understand how Isiah Thomas can have an issue with Michael Jordan coming into Chicago and basically becoming like, a native son, you know what I'm saying, and ambassador for, basketball in Chicago. Because let's just face the facts, the Chicago Bulls were god awful. Nobody wanted to come see them play. If you bought tickets, you basically could sneak to the front row at halftime, and who knows? If you was lucky enough, you would have got to play. That's how bad they was. So Michael Jordan did turn that team around. It started with him, and then they built the team. Once again, with Stephen Curry. They drafted Stephen Curry, and they built the team. And like I said, that's the problem that I have with Michael Jordan fans. You just can't have a normal conversation because they have you believing that he did every damn thing by himself. So Isiah Thomas and Michael Jordan's grudge go back a long time. So let me tell you another part of the story, how they believe, or how a lot of people believe Michael Jordan got even with Isiah Thomas. Now, we all know Isiah Thomas was arguably a top 10 player from pretty much, the beginning of his career to, his career ended abruptly. I think in 1994, he had some kind of injury, some kind of ankle injury, I think, against the Orlando Magic. And then, Isiah Thomas called it a career, But a lot of people believe that Isiah Thomas should have been on the first Dream Team, where they started sending the pros to play in the Olympics. And a lot of people believe that Michael Jordan behind the scenes said, hey, if you put Isiah Thomas on the team, I'm not going to play. And keep in mind, Michael Jordan was near and dear to David Stern, so they made a phone call and Isiah Thomas wasn't on that Dream Team and he should have been on it. Now, I wasn't the biggest Isiah Thomas fan. I'm not the biggest Isiah Thomas fan in the world because I believe that Isiah Thomas had a history of being two-faced, and he used to stab a lot of his teammates in the back, from Adrian Dentley to just other people. So he had a history of being a snake. So I'm not the biggest Isiah Thomas fan in the world, but he does have a right to his opinion about Michael Jordan. I just don't understand why some people get so irate to the point they be ready. Some Michael Jordan fans act like they want to fight you if you criticize Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan can be criticized. Why do people act like Michael Jordan can't be criticized? Michael Jordan had flaws in his game. Everybody has flaws in their game. Everybody. But for real, that's where the Michael Jordan, Isiah Thomas thing come from. And like some people not taking Isiah Thomas statement serious because they know the history. But I do think that Isiah Thomas is basically voicing his opinion and telling his truth. I think he really believes what he says, and I believe it's no malice behind it, even though him and Michael Jordan have a history of not liking each other. But anyway, I just wanted to voice my opinion. This your boy Town Biz. I'm out.